All right, everybody, happy Halloween. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, but like I've mentioned before in other videos, I actually have a full-time job. I'm not a trading influencer, so I have no desire to be one. But when I have a video like today where I know that I can share value and add value to what your potential trading style could be or what you can implement within your existing trading strategy, I want to be able to share that with you. And as you could tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be sharing how I was able to pass a $100,000 expert My Funded Futures account in one trade, in one day, hit the profit target of $8,000, as you guys can see here, $8,003. So we passed the challenge in one day. What did I look for? What was I looking for as a thesis? What was my plan? Let's get into all of that right now. So it virtually all starts at the daily chart. And as you guys can tell without a sliver of a doubt, we've been in somewhat of an uptrend. But what happened yesterday was very interesting. And I'm going to give you some background and some context on this as to what contributed to my bearish thesis for the day. So I work in the real estate industry here in Florida. And what you guys have noticed in the real estate world is that interest rates have been going up nonstop. We also had payroll come out that said we had all these jobs added, yet ADP, which is one of the biggest payroll companies in the country, said that, well, guys, we've actually been losing jobs. Jobs aren't going up as fast as they're being projected, and these numbers that are coming out in the media most certainly are not accurate. So we had a red bearish engulfing candle yesterday. Interesting. Okay, so as I'm watching the market open this morning and the pre-market, we were putting in a red candle to begin with, so I was expecting somewhat of a continuation from yesterday. And as you'll notice, I'm recording this video right now at 11 in the morning, almost noon on this trading day. We're about to back test 20,000 even on NQ. But as we creep down to this level, you'll see right here, we have a massive amount of support in the 19,900s. So this is hindsight. But what I'd seen this morning was that we were going to be putting in a red candle. So my thesis is, let's look to the short side. Now, mind you, as we look at the 1 hour candles, and here we are. So we noticed flat candle, and we had our push up. Okay, great. I had two areas of support marked here at the lower time frames that we'll get into, but we had a lot of resistance on the hourly candles up here. So again, contributing to my thesis where if we saw somewhat of a pop up, it's going to be met with some selling pressure. So jumping down to the 15 minutes, here we are. Still a lot of sellers hanging out up here. Let's get into the 1 minute. This is where the fun begins. So what I was looking at in particular is as we look at the pre-market morning trading, we're cruising our way up. We're slowly chugging along. Okay, great. So what do we see here? We're going to mark this out. I want to remove the drawings that I have. So what do we see in the pre-market? Again, if you've watched my videos before, I'm always a fan of looking left first. So we have a clear line of resistance. Okay, so that's the top of the range. But on the 1 minute, we're still above VWAP. So we're looking good. But what happened after we had somewhat of a double top here on the pre-market? Here comes the sell-off. Here's the relief pump up. Now, as we came into this imbalance, fair value gap, whatever you want to call it, once this was put in right here, we knew that we were going to have somewhat of a supply-demand imbalance, inefficiency, whatever you want to call it. So what did we see? Two green candles come up with an immediate red candle rejection. Push down. Here's the relief. Now we're putting in lower highs. We had two equal lows here. And then as we come up, same thing rejected. Now we're looking at the market open. But here's what's interesting. Let's go back to drawing our horizontal line. You had this strong push up here. And then you had what looks like a double bottom right here, and we came up. But if we continue this line over, let's even move it up to where the most recent double bottom was. As we came into here, okay, boom, boom. Here's where the market came into. We had a close below that line, below that range. We never came up after the market opened to retest this. So we had a pretty quick move down. Now, mind you, you'll see right here, this is where I took the trade. So let's move into the actual trade itself. This is the trade we can see where I got in. and got out. And that was for the $8,000 profit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move us over to the depth of market right here. You can see the shaded histogram on the right side of this screen. You'll notice we were at the bottom of a low volume node. So I was expecting to see somewhat of a relief bounce. Now, here's why this was a cheap trade and I was comfortable going full risk. This was 10 contracts in and out. I got in here knowing full well that my stop loss was roughly down here in this 250, lower 250 range. So I was comfortable going right to 250 and having my stop placed here. So this is where my entry was. We were right at the, let me actually see if I can pull up the performance side of the account just to show you guys. So we'll jump into the performance just so you can see it, I guess. One trade, we got in 8,000 and then we got out. So held it for a minute, 32 seconds, right? So we'll look at the orders and you saw where my stop was placed. So we had the fill price of $55.50 and then the sale price was at 95. Okay, so let's close out of this. Go back to the chart. So the average fill price was down right about here. So we roughly caught, let's just call it 280 at the base of this candle. So this is where I'm filled, right here at the 280s. We'll just put a horizontal line. 258 was the number. So we'll just pull it right here. Darn near caught the bottom on this candle, right? So when we're at 258 and I can give myself somewhat of an 8-point stop loss down here, if I got stopped out, that was fine. And I was actually anticipating a wick to come down, sweep some liquidity and bring this thing back up. But you'll notice the wick barely swept anything below that candle. So when I have the confluence of we never retested the highs up here, we had an immediate, very strong push down coming into the rest of the opening part of the candle, I guess you could say the opening part of the New York session. I was expecting some relief. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4 very strong candles of no buyers and straight up selling pressure. So to get 5 candles, we would be looking at somewhat of a very strong news event or something like that. On the close of that 4th candle was where I got in. So I'm in here, held it for about a minute and a half and closed up here for the full $8,000 profit to pass the challenge. But when you have the confluence of the low volume node right about here, I'll highlight this with a box because sometimes when you're using profiles and depth of market, it's a little bit easier to see when you have the bottom of the node here, roughly in this area, with a lot of volume sticking out here. So again, this is in hindsight. This is in a perfect world. It's very difficult to see this in real time. And by no means am I saying that I'm an expert. But as we push down, we came into this low volume node here. I was comfortable getting in and riding this up and closing out just to pass the challenge. That was it. I trade my challenges and my live accounts much differently. Obviously, challenges are very full boat. Get in, get out, take your profits along the way because you cannot trust NQ in the slightest. But this was where I was comfortable getting in and riding this out. And as we look at the rest of the day, by all means, this is the 1 minute chart. Let's shorten this up to a 5 minute just because it'll be a little bit easier to see. You've had nothing but selling pressure all day. But if I'm going to clear out these drawings, one thing that I would absolutely look for, whether it's the remainder of the session, I love days like this for one reason, and I'll tell you why. And look, even on the 5 minute, we tested down here at the 20,000s on the part of this low volume node. Look at this. You had so much buying come in that it really gave us a nice solid bullish engulfing candle. And we're likely going to retrace a lot of the selling pressure. So what I'm looking at here is, if you like to chart your imbalances, that's entirely up to you. But you have an imbalance here. You have another imbalance, a massive imbalance up here. Let's see if it lets me draw this 1 second. You have another imbalance right here, right at VWAP. So you can anticipate this to come in. And then if we have a strong enough pressure, is it likely that we retest up here? The answer is yes, but it's all about what's going to happen when we get there. This is where it makes sense to have your heat maps pulled up on Bookmap if you're using that, if you're looking at the level 2, looking at the tape, looking at your DOM, looking at footprint charts, which I am slowly starting to learn, because Having these levels charted out is great. However, if you don't know what the price action is doing at those levels and where the orders are coming in and getting filled at, it's a lot of useless information. So, for the sake of today's video, that's what I was looking at when it comes to how I passed this challenge and how I was able to do it in one trade, as you guys saw. But when you're trading a live account, these are the levels that I would be watching to see what would happen next. So, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Comment down below what content you guys would like to see, because again, I am not aiming to be a trading influencer. I want to be a great trader, not a great talker in front of the screen making all of my money from affiliate fees and YouTube views. I want to actually be known as a good trader. So let me know what content you guys want to see down below. Let me know if this video is helping with you passing your challenges as well. But let me hear from you guys. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like, whatever the case is. Share with all your friends, and I will see you in the next video.